Before I even get into this, I've got a very important public service announcement for those already judging me based on the title of this alone. I don't want any of you giving me lip in the comments about how I shouldn't have even gotten on Omegle. Oh, it's Omegle. What did you expect? Come on, bro. You should have known you were going to see some wild stuff on there. What were you even doing on Omegle? Yeah, I don't want to hear any of it. Trust me, I've been through enough. In fact, you should be glad that I'm posting this at all. At the expense of my dignity, I'm going to explain my situation. So I really don't need the judgment, okay? I just need you to listen. And please heed my warning. Stay off of Omegle. Sure, the allure of talking to strangers is cool and whatnot, and it definitely helps pass the time. But sometimes you get yourself into situations that you can't easily get out of. This is one of those instances. It started last Friday night. One of my friends was stuck with his girlfriend, one was out of state, and the other two were at a party I had no interest in attending. So that meant I was going to order a pizza, maybe play a little Halo, and throw back a couple beers.
Poppy's Pizzeria, this is Daniela speaking.
The girl's voice on the other end of the line was monotone and uninterested. She sounded like she hated her job. Great. I already could tell that the customer service was going to be stellar.
Yeah, I'd like to place an order. Carry out or delivery?
I scoffed, the snarky teenager cutting me off and loudly smacking her gum into the receiver.
Delivery. Gotcha. When can we get started for you?
I internally cringed when I heard her pop a bubble before she said,
Hello? Yeah, sorry, can I get a large pineapple and ham pizza? Got it. Anything else?
I could hear her annoyance the longer I stayed on the line. And then, the muffled sound of someone in the background.
Danny, you almost done with that call? Addison Ray's mom's about to go live on TikTok. You've got to see this. Yeah, one sec. I've got to get this boomer off the line first. Excuse me?
My brows furrowed as I clenched the phone. I was 20 frickin' 4.
Oh, sorry about that. I thought I had you on mute.
She sort of giggled before she said,
Is that it, or? Yeah, that's it. A name for the order? Ryder Kentwood? Okay, give me 1 second.
I spent the next few minutes on hold. She was probably watching that stupid TikTok live. This was ridiculous. Right when I thought about just hanging up and calling another place, she finally got back on the line and I gave her my address. She said it would be about 30 minutes, so I decided to find something to keep me occupied until then. Something told me it was going to be a lot longer than 30 minutes. As I scrolled through some YouTube shorts, I came across one guy that I'd subscribed to a couple months back. He always did some hilarious Omegle videos where he catfished the men on there into thinking he was a woman. That's what gave me the brilliant idea to try Omegle for myself. I'd always watched other videos of people checking it out, and it looked like harmless fun. Looking back now, I wish I'd poured bleach into my eyes instead. After the first couple of people, I started to get kind of bored. It was all the same thing. Guys with guitars, Omegle rizzers, girls who had eyelashes so fake that they looked as if they would fly away every time they blinked, and countless dudes with their third leg, for the sake of keeping this clean, let's just say they forgot to put their pants on. By the time I decided to call it a night, I connected with a woman. She was drop dead gorgeous. In a way, I was completely and utterly mesmerized. And this time, I didn't find my finger hovering over the skip button. Instead, I found myself sitting there and staring at her like a lovesick puppy. Hey, how are you doing tonight? Her voice was like velvet, silky and smooth. Oh, I'm good. I smiled, stuttering over my words. A deep blush settled over my features as I tried my best to contain my nerves. My fingers toyed with a string on my hoodie as I looked over her. Raven-colored hair cascaded down her shoulders in a mass of voluminous, shiny curls. My eyes moved down her face slowly, drinking in features that stood out in stark comparison. Seafoam green eyes gazed back at me, framed by thick, dark lashes. "I'm Lily. What's your name?" She smiled. And I swear to you on everything holy that in that very moment, I thought the heavens themselves opened up and angels started singing. Perfectly full lips painted a dark shade of crimson slowly parted and revealed a row of pearly white teeth. This woman was absolutely stunning. "Are you okay?" she asked, a singular dark brow raised as she smirked. This woman had to know what she was doing. There was no way that she could look as good as sin and be totally oblivious to the effect she had on me. With a nervous chuckle, I wiped the drool from my mouth and rubbed the back of my neck anxiously. She was easily an 11 out of 10 on the smoke show meter, and I was going to kick myself if I fumbled this. "Hey, yeah, sorry. You're just really beautiful is all. I'm Ryder, but you can just call me Rye." She was silent for a moment, and this silence is what caused me to ramble. "In fact, you look a whole lot like someone I know." I laughed awkwardly, then continued on. "Yeah, you know what? You sort of remind me of my ex." I internally cursed when I realized what I just said. I accidentally word vomited, and now I'd absolutely obliterated any chance I had of bagging this smoking hot babe. It's over for me now. I might as well just throw my whole PC out the window. "Your ex?" Lily gave me a funny look before she announced, "Well, she must have been absolutely stunning." With a wink, she smirked before running her hand through her luscious locks. Once again, I paused, a bit caught off guard. I didn't know what good I'd done in a past life to deserve that second chance, but I was incredibly thankful for it. I thought for sure that I'd screwed it up. "Do you live by yourself, or do you have a pretty little roommate to keep you company?" she suddenly asked, distracting me from my internal dialogue. "Oh, yeah, it's just me. Why?" A part of me was completely flabbergasted. Was she seriously asking me that because she wanted to know if I was single? Maybe I was just overthinking this. She's completely out of my league. Perfect. Lily's face lit up at my answer. Jet black fingernails twirled a piece of hair around her finger before a cheeky look slid across her features. "I just so happen to live in the heart of Dixie myself." With a sly grin, she bit her bottom lip and continued, "Want some company?" For all of 5 seconds, I freaked. I couldn't help but wonder how the heck she knew where I lived until I realized that she probably could see the Alabama born and bred Roll Tide poster on the wall behind me. At this revelation, I breathed a sigh of relief and got my head back into the game. An incredibly gorgeous woman was asking to come over to my house, and I was not about to miss out on the time of my life. Now, before I continue, I know what you're thinking. Dude, she's a complete stranger, but you don't understand. I wasn't thinking of the consequences. In fact, I wasn't doing much thinking at all. From the moment Lily smiled at me, I was a complete goner. I was eating out of the palm of her hand. I was wrapped around her little finger. I promise you, usually I wasn't this desperate. But you've got to believe me. This woman altered and rewired my whole entire brain chemistry every time those gorgeous lips of hers opened. She could be telling me that I was a dirty, filthy, worthless piece of crap, and I swear to you, I'm convinced that I would have heard the complete opposite. "You live in Tuscaloosa?" My lips moved, the words sliding past them before I fully understood what I was saying. "I'm in the area." This night was getting a whole lot better by the second. I mean, what were the chances? I'm sure a little company wouldn't hurt. With the most charming smile that I could muster, I leaned back into my gaming chair and cracked my knuckles. This was going to be one heck of a night. Just give me a few minutes to run a quick errand, and then I'll be over there in 2 shakes. That's when I realized Lily wasn't in her room anymore. I'd been so caught up in what she looked like that I totally disregarded anything in the background. In fact, it sounded like she was in her vehicle. A couple car horns could be heard blaring in the background, the typical sound of Friday night traffic. No rush. I reassured her before continuing. Say, you hungry? Starving, she exclaimed, bottom lip jutting out in a playful pout. Well, you're in luck. I just ordered a pizza and it should be delivered here in a little bit. I hope you like pineapple and ham. I knew the pizza wasn't an impressive dinner, nothing fancy or candlelit like she was probably used to, but I did have a couple bottles of wine that might spice it up a little. She deserved that much at least. That's crazy, she giggled. That's actually my favorite. Where'd you order it from? Gio's is subpar, and I'm not a fan of Pizza Hut sauce. It's too sweet. I watched in slight amusement as Lily pulled a face, her pointer finger sliding down her throat in a barfing motion. It's a family-owned one. Poppy's Pizzeria has some of the best pizza. The teenagers that work there are a little snotty, but their thin crusts die for. Oh, I love Poppy's Pizzeria. Lily's smile brightened before she said, I didn't get a chance to hear the rest of her response, though. The video cut out and my screen went black. I didn't even get a chance to give her my number. With a frustrated sigh, I leaned back in my chair and kicked my desk. I reached for my phone, absent-mindedly scrolling through my Twitter for a couple minutes before I threw it down and stared up at the ceiling. This pizza was taking forever. I was already annoyed, and my patience was hanging on by a thread. Suddenly, the doorbell caught me off guard. It's about time. Whatever tip I had thought about giving the driver was going to stay buried in my wallet. Poppy's Pizzeria had top-tier pizza, but their customer service sucked. As I got to the door, I snatched up my wallet and pulled out some cash. I'd been waiting on this pizza since the dawn of time, and if this wasn't my pizza delivery, I was about to go kick some kittens. I pulled open the door, wholeheartedly convinced that it was going to be one of the snotty teenagers from the pizzeria, but instead, I was met with raven-colored hair and seafoam green eyes. Wait a minute, what the heck? I faltered, confusion settling over my features until I noticed Lily holding a pizza. Once again, what were the chances? I figured I'd swing by and pick it up for you. Her smile was big and her eyes twinkled innocently. I just so happened to catch the pizza boy in the parking lot, and it turned out he was getting ready to deliver your order. Literally everything Lily said felt incredibly fishy. Any sane man would have slammed the door in her face, but unbeknownst to me, she had a trick up her sleeve. Before I even had time to react, I felt her hand reach out and grab my arm, her fingertips lightly caressing my skin, and that's when I felt it. All my doubts, all my confusion, all the questions dancing on the tip of my tongue melted away the second she gazed up at me and whispered, Rye, you believe me. I'm telling the truth. Lily's voice was like warm honey dripping into my ears. In the second it took her to grace my skin, she had easily willed me into submission, soothed my thoughts, and completely snuffed out the warning bells that were screaming at me a few seconds beforehand. My head nodded, almost on its own accord. Suddenly, I didn't care where she came from or what she was doing here. I just knew that I couldn't get her inside my house fast enough. Charm radiated off Lily like the aroma of melted cheese was radiating off that pizza. And before I knew it, I was inviting her in. In fact, my brain was so clouded that I couldn't figure out what I wanted more. The pizza or her? Please understand me that all of this was the biggest red flag to have ever graced mankind, but I was too far gone to even care. My mind was buzzing and my heart was beating so wild within my chest that I thought I was going to die if I didn't touch her. I didn't know what the heck this feeling was, but I wanted more. No, I needed more. Every smile, every laugh, every flutter of her lashes was intoxicatingly addicting. I felt like a druggie begging for his next fix, and everything about this woman was so abso-freaking-lutely euphoric. The second Lily stepped past the threshold of my front door, it was like every fiber of my being called out to me. When she set the pizza down and made a move to kiss me, it was no surprise when things got heated. My hands flew to her hair, bunching up dark curls within my fingertips as she moved her lips fervently against mine. From that point forward, everything was progressing rather quickly. An overwhelmingly hot whirlwind of emotions encompassed my entire being all the way up to until she got an unexpected phone call. With an irritated scoff, Lily pulled away from the kiss and apologized before picking up her phone. A name glowed up at her that made her falter. "I need to take this. Mind if I step out of the room for a bit?" "Yeah, sure," I breathed, my chest rapidly rising and falling, still worked up from the heated makeout session. "The bathroom's right down the hall if you just want to step into there." "Perfect," she smiled. "I'll be right back. Just sit tight for a second." With an obedient nod, I watched her disappear into my bathroom before I sunk back into the couch cushions. In all honesty, I was glad to have a bit of a breather. My thoughts were a swirling, muddied mess, lips swollen and red as I peered down at my embarrassingly sweaty palms. As I dragged in another breath, I couldn't help but close my eyes for just a second. I was so incredibly lightheaded that I thought I was going to pass out. But now that she had let me alone for a bit, I slowly regained my thoughts, the haze from before clearing just the slightest. I stood from my spot on the couch, deciding to go plate up some of that pizza. The second Lily stepped through the door, I'd forgotten that I was even hungry at all. But now I was starving. When I flicked open the top of the pizza box, though, that feeling quickly dissipated and I nearly vomited. A large serrated knife was laying right smack dab in the middle of it, coated in blood, meaty tissue clinging to the teeth like poorly shredded chicken. Fear skirted across my arms in the form of goosebumps as I stumbled away from the pizza box. My eyes darted to the bathroom. I could hear her voice, low whispers floating out from under the closed door. Yes, I'm sure." I strained to hear bits and pieces of the conversation as I backed into my front door, fumbling for the doorknob. "He's completely enraptured. I swear. I won't get caught this time. I took a precaution to make sure." And that's all I needed to hear to realize that I had gotten myself into quite the pickle. Whatever this lady was, she was freaking crazy. And I wanted no part of it. In fact, the more I thought about it, the more I realized that the red flags were glaring bright. I couldn't for the life of me understand how I just let this psychopath waltz into my house. It was like she had me under some type of mild hypnosis. Without a second thought, I threw open my front door and raced out to my driveway. All the blood drained from my face the second I realized that my car was nowhere in sight. There was absolutely no trace of it. My mouth went dry as my eyes blinked several times. What the actual? Parked in a ditch across the street was my vehicle, and it was completely upside down. Parts of it littered the street. Adrenaline was coursing through me like a tidal wave. I didn't have time to think about how it got there, but part of me knew that she had something to do with it. My eyes quickly darted to the pizza car parked just beside my mailbox. It was still running. Lily had left the keys in the ignition. Another wave of nausea rushed over me when I realized that she was so confident in her skills that she purposefully left the car running. She wholeheartedly thought that I was going to be an easy kill. As the gravity of the situation slowly sunk in, I couldn't help but be thankful for that phone call. If whoever was on the other end of that line hadn't decided to interrupt her, she might have been right, and I would have been as dead as a doornail. Without another thought, I rushed over to the car and tugged the door open, throwing myself inside and shoving the car into drive. Terror was racing through me so fast that I didn't even realize the horror awaiting me in the back of the car. I only made it about a block down the road before I realized something wasn't right, and then I froze. For some reason, my jeans felt wet and sticky, and then I noticed it. Blood everywhere. My hands shook as I pulled into a random driveway. I was hyperventilating at this point, nearly catapulting myself into a full-blown panic attack when I discovered something even worse. My eyes widened as large as saucers when I peered through the rearview mirror. There was a boy in the back, slightly slumped over in his seat. A hat was perched on his head. Bloody curls peeked from beneath it. My eyes zeroed on the words printed across the front before I stumbled out of the car and took off sprinting down the street. Staring back at me in big block letters was Poppy's Pizzeria. I've been staying at my friend Mark's house ever since that night. When I crashed him and his girlfriend's Friday night slumber party, they were both slightly annoyed until they realized I was covered in blood. Both of them were quick to console me before they shooed me off to the shower. My clothes were ruined, but Mark was more than glad to supply me with some new ones, stuffing the dirty ones into a freezer bag for the police. The authorities carefully scoured the car and my house, and quickly, everything around me was being tied up in a big bow of bright yellow crime scene tape. The police have been thoroughly investigating everything, explaining to me that there have been a string of unusual murders tied to Lily. And unfortunately, they've been coming up empty-handed. As of right now, she's evaded their every move, always one step ahead. I don't know exactly what she is, but Mark is convinced she's a succubus. I gave him the rundown on everything that happened to me the second she stepped foot into my house. And honestly, his assumption sort of makes sense. This woman or demon or whatever she is had a hold on me that I can't quite explain. And she's still out there. She's still killing. She won't leave you alone until she devours every last bit of your soul. I know she's not done with me. I got a text from Lily last night. I thought I was safe at Mark's, but now I'm not so sure. If anything, I feel incredibly guilty for pulling him into the crapshoot that has become my life. Everything's in shambles. And now I don't know what to do or where to turn. I'm stuck with this impossible decision. Hi, Ryder. You've been very naughty. The police can't help you, but I can. In fact, I'll make you a bargain. If you give me Mark's soul in exchange for yours, I'll spare you. You have 24 hours to make your decision. See you soon. Mark and I were heading to his parents' lake house tonight when I get off work. I read him the text, purposely glossing over the part about Lily's bargain. I was terribly conflicted. He had been a good friend to me for as long as I could remember, and the last thing I wanted was to be a coward. Both of us decided after that text that going off the grid to wait this out was our best bet for the next few weeks. But little does he know, that might not work out in his favor. I still don't know what to make of her text, but I'm sure she isn't bluffing. One way or another, Lily is going to find us. And when she does, I'm going to have to figure out whether our friendship is more important than my life. The pressure that I'm feeling is so incredibly heavy. And I can't help but to feel that I'm stuck in between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, I brought this upon myself by talking to a complete stranger. But in my defense, my mind wasn't my own. This woman, Lily, she's not normal. She's got abilities that I can't even begin to comprehend. I know I said before that when she spoke, the heavens opened and sunrise spilled out, or whatever bull crap I spouted when I was under her trance. But now I'm seriously wondering if that was hellfire instead. In the meantime, those of you in the Tuscaloosa area, or any part of Alabama, heck, even those in the surrounding states, I'm begging you, please stay off Omegle. I'm pretty sure I met a succubus there, and now I'm bargaining for my life. Hey guys, welcome to the end of the video. Go ahead and comment end of video club down there so I don't know, I get a little engagement on these videos because it really helps. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it. If you didn't, dislike it. just the girl next door. Oh my gosh, your stories. I mean, that's all I can really say. Like, this gave me chills every single time I read it, and I really love the emotion behind it, like the fear. I also kind of felt attacked because I used to be a Omegle guitar person when I was in high school, which was like, I don't know, 10 years ago, but still, yeah, like just stay off Omegle. I'm right there with you. You'll meet some crazy people there. But anyway, guys, I hope you have a great day. I'm traveling around working this week in a couple different states before I get back from one part of the Southeast to another part of the Southeast, and then I'll be back into something that's not as crazy. But yeah, bye.